Alright, what's up, y'all? Let's just do what we can to do what we can. Oh, shoot! That's exactly what I was just saying. That's why I worded it like that. Instead of like, let's try to make this perfect, I was saying, let's do what we can to do what we can because, you know, it is what it is. It's blunt, bold, raw, and real. It's in the Image Clothing Company. It's, sometimes we fix the framing of the camera after we start the videos recording. It's just, you know, don't try to be any better than you are because you're not. And really what it is a cool location. Really what it is the 27th of January 2026. This is Dante, the standard poodle, okay? Hi, Dante. My name is Evan Strong. I love how I introduced him before me. That's great. I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. This is In The Image Clothing Company's main side. And yeah, this is how we do it. We do it blunt, bold, raw, and real. We just do it how we do it, you know? Meaning, however we do it is how we're gonna do it because the point is just to do it, you know? Get it done. Just get it done. Dante's on a towel. We've got a towel for Dante here so he stays clean. Than if he were to be laying in the dirt. Wow. Okay, In The Image Clothing Company's main side, this is one of our fourths where we allow the human body to work. That's what we do. We're a clothing company because we're designed in the image of God. Designed in the image of Jesus Christ. We're a clothing company, okay, our 5-word company name there, In The Image Clothing Company, to allow the body to work. The human body is just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. The human body is just mechanics. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, Dante and I filmed, okay? The body it's just rotations, it's just hinges, it's levers, it's just functioning, or it isn't, really. Okay, what I mean is there truly is only one way the human body could ever work. It's about Earth's gravity, okay? There's a center line to gravity, perpendicular with the horizontal surface of our Earth. And then there's a center line to our bodies as well. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw stabilizes the entire body. Really, the body works by stabilizing, okay? Because there's a neutral to everything. Just simply explained, left and right. There's a center or a neutral, okay, to Earth's gravity. Forward and back, there's a center or a neutral to Earth's gravity. But then in all the functioning of the body, down or up with the wrist, internal versus external rotation in the body, wherever it is, right? In the hands to the elbows and just those forearms with those two bones, the radius and ulna, internal rotation or external rotation with the elbows at the natural waist, keeping elbows at the natural waist, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, also just a huge focus in life. The elbows at the natural waist is above the hip bones, but below the lowest ribs, where there's no bones at our sides until we get into the center line at the spine. And that's actually where we bend side to side. So we keep our elbows in that little pocket, no matter how you carry fat, right? Where there's no bone hitting bone. The elbows at their natural waist is the shoulders at their neutral height. Anyway, the point is, there's only one way the human body could ever work. I mean, I could discuss all this. We discuss these things fairly often, the same things often in different videos because it's congruency, okay? Because it's really simple. That's what we do, is we allow the body to work, okay? If the body was never altered by anything, it would just work. You can have an amputation, a deformity, a birth defect, a major surgery, anything like this, or not even like that at all, but that makes you different in any way, okay? Sets your body apart a little bit or quite a bit. We're all different, but you can only be different from something, and there's a universal human design, okay? Skeletal system, the bones of the body, they're only shaped the way that they are. There's only the amount of them that they are, generally, okay? Unless you really are uniquely different, which there you go. But yeah, they're only how they are. They're just a stick. They only move where they connect to other bones through ligaments, and then there's a hinge, okay? The human body only pulls. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, even in what seems like a push, we're just pulling muscles together on the back side of a hinge because we have opposing sides and opposing muscles to a function. if it has two sides to it? Well, if it has a function at all, right? There's opposition in all things. Light opposes dark, okay? Warmth opposes cold. Or neither one of them could exist. We have to have contrast, you know, we have to have something to compare something else to. We have to have lifting the wrist to compare it from the neutral, or the other side of dropping the wrist, for example, right? There's just two sides to everything. Always, okay? Like arguments, confrontations, you know? There's two sides to things. And there's only one way the human body could ever work, all right? There's no opinion. It's not new information. It's not an approach. It's not a sales pitch. It's not in the Image Clothing Company because of us. It's God, Jesus Christ, the designer of the body. It's always been the same. And we have to mesh those two things, Earth's center of gravity with the human body's center line. Okay? There are immovable bones in the center line of the body, like the nose, it's in the center, you know, the sternum. It's this bone in the front where the ribs connect into. The ribs then wrap around the whole body on both sides and connect into the center line and the rear of the body at the spine. A lot of little bones stacking, called vertebrae. Okay, the natural curve in the spine. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, Dante and I filmed. So we talk about eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything though we do. And doing these things naturally in this unnatural modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. Okay, unnatural, synthetic. What's the other one I say? Artificial, okay? Synonyms with fake, these words are. And they're often in our clothing. They're often in our food. They're just in the things we interact with in daily life in 2026. Today is the 27th of January, 2026. And yeah, our bodies are only natural. You're only what you've eaten. That's how you've grown to be the size you are, as opposed to how large you were when you were very first born. Okay? If you eat anything unnatural, the body that you have and that you are, kind of, right, in this life, yeah, it's not gonna grow. It has to process unnatural things through it without gaining any kind of benefit or compensation from the work it has to put in to do the processing of whatever you put into your mouth to eat through your body and then have it come out the other end of your body. Okay? And that's only damaging. So we have to eat things naturally. There's no opinion. We have to wear things naturally. There's no opinion. Okay? Clothing, it's the only thing physically placed on us. It has to stay centered. There's a center line to the body. It has to fit correct, where we discuss under In The Image Clothing Company, not an opinion. It's not our choice. Don't believe us. Don't believe me. Don't believe In The Image Clothing Company or Evan Strong, me, the founder of man, takes me off guard sometimes how cool these videos are. I'm serious. But don't believe us, okay? I'm in this for life. Evan Strong as the founder, but also leader of In The Image Clothing Company. Don't believe our team members or our poodles. We will have many, okay? I'll explain why if you don't know yet. This video will have some context on the poodles, okay? But what I mean by that is if you don't believe in anything, things still have to be there. You can't even have a belief unless you're first there to have one. And you can't have a belief on how you got there because you got there before you could have a belief. Okay, we can't have opinions on anything unless there's something to have an opinion on that's already there. Okay, truth is truth. We don't get to decide. So don't believe us, but we give a lot of information, a lot of free information under the gift of video, and always. That's a big part of what we are as this clothing company we are. We'll always have good clothing and good dog products. I'll explain why if you don't know, okay? And whatever else we branch out into product-wise, but a lot of it's just our videos. A lot of it's just information, in-person events here in the state of Utah, the United States of America. We live up Utah for the sake of the beautiful, diverse nature, the church history, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are here in Utah. We'll wait for this tractor. It's quite noisy. Okay. 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 Shoot, man. Yeah. We discuss where clothing sits, and it doesn't matter what you care about, or if you don't even care to care about clothing at all. It doesn't matter. You don't have to care, but it's affecting you. We've got a lot of things nowadays that are unnatural, okay? Stretch in clothing, it goes the opposite direction of the only way the muscles work. The only way the body works is if the muscles pull the bones of the body to move it. Otherwise, it doesn't move. And not only does it not move, but it wouldn't even stand. You know, we couldn't even stay vertical if we couldn't stabilize. Okay, from the two sides, there's a neutral. And we stabilize in the neutral. That's us just standing vertical on Earth's gravity, okay, when we're standing on Earth. And so, with the clothing we wear and how we say that we know how your clothing has to fit you, okay, we do. We know how it has to be because we've got joints of material as well as we've got joints of body parts, okay? We've got seams of material as well as you could say, you know, seams of body parts. And so the clothing has to sit on our bodies in the angles and positions where our bodies hinge and rotate. We can say it like that. That's what it really means to allow the body to work through clothing. But we've got things like stretch. Stretch goes the opposite way of the body working, okay? Don't stretch your body. The body has to pull and evenly opposing the center line in toward the center line where the musculature connects to, okay? Don't pull on your body, but if your body's in an imbalance or in a twist, you might feel like you want to relieve some tension by pulling on it. But the body's only going to ever be relaxed in its neutral state. It can only be in its neutral state if it's evenly pulling on each side of the neutral to stay in the neutral state. Okay, so what I mean is clothing. It damages our bodies. So this video, the title of this video, here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, on the 27th of January 2026, is you can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. You can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. What does that even mean, ambidextrous? Well, if you don't know, that's fine. That's why I asked it, so I could answer the question. Being ambidextrous means able to use one side of your body just as well as you can use the other side of your body, okay? And there's no opinion to having to stay centered. There are bones there, okay? Like I was saying, the sternum, it's in the center of the body. It's an immovable bone. So is the nose. And there's just insertions to muscles, to bones, right? Muscles connect to bones through tendons. Bones connect to bones through ligaments. There's a thin layer of cushioning between the bones called cartilage, so the bones don't wear out. And you have to stay centered. There's no opinion to having to stay centered. You have to stay centered. You have to stay centered in all the ways you can, because there's a center line to Earth's gravity that we're always on. We're breathing. It takes the entire body to breathe to some degree through stabilization. Our rib cage is expanding and contracting in 360 degrees, meaning all the way around. Unless it's altered by the only thing physically placed on us, though, clothing. Okay? Glasses, jewelry, anything placed on the body is clothing the body with something. I choked on my words. Okay. Staying centered, fitting correct, and being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. That's the thing. Stretch brings unnatural materials. Unnatural materials bring stretch. Okay? There was no such thing really as stretch in clothing until just tens of years ago from today's date, the 27th of January 2026. So we've got another fourth of In the Image Clothing Company. In the Image Clothing Company poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, but we give information on letting dogs stay natural. Same thing as allowing the body to work here on In the Image Clothing Company's main side for the human beings. But the information applies to all dogs. Letting dogs stay natural, but it applies to a lot of animals across the earth as well. Okay, collars, leashes, harnesses, bandanas, whatever it is you place on a dog, like that, is basically clothing for the dog. Has to stay centered and fit the dog properly, or the dog is just being altered. Years are taken off the life of dogs because of heavy collars, imbalanced collars, just pulling on their whole spine, okay, and their whole body. So, yeah, man, it's big stuff, okay? It really is. Keeping collars centered is a huge focus for human beings and dogs. We just talk about it because there's a center line to the neck. The collar goes around the neck. There's a spine there. There's a trachea there. There's musculature on both sides of the neck opposing the center of it. Yeah. What really is neck pain is a video I filmed down in beautiful St. George, Utah in November of 2025, okay, where we will move. Dante and I will move down to St. George, Utah. That's where In the Image Clothing Company will be based. I word it like this. We'll set up base camp for life because, yeah, we'll live there. And it'll be awesome, okay? True desert, beautiful red rock sandstone, very southernmost part of the state of Utah here in the United States of America. It's warm compared to Utah County here, okay? About 3.5 hours north of St. George, Utah is where we're standing right now. I'm standing, Dante's laying down. But you have to be ambidextrous. If your collar's not centered, you're not going to be ambidextrous. We have collar seams. We have a lot of free modifications we give from In the Image Clothing Company, okay, to all the other humans who can benefit. But we give them to ourselves as well. God gives us information and we benefit from it, is really how that works. This is the point. Anything you could call a seam in a collar, anything discrepant or different around the collar of our top, around our neck, that doesn't allow it to be centered and evenly circular, a circumference, right? A rounding around the neck, okay? Our bodies then are altered because we've just got different levels of contraction on one side of the body versus the other when there's a center line to it and a center line to Earth's gravity, okay? So, In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, that's one of the biggest things, even though it's one of the smallest things physically, okay? Anytime there's a seam in the collar of our top, we need to modify it to have it be as close as we can to as pliable as the rest of the collar of the top, okay? So, you can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. Well, why does it matter if you're ambidextrous? Well, because there's two sides to your body, and we have to stay centered to physically operate. The human body is just mechanics. That video here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, Dante and I filmed, the body is just mechanics. And if the body's not balanced, the body can't walk. The body can't stand. The body can't reach. The body can't breathe, okay? That's a big one. The essence of human life, breath, okay? It's a physical thing, okay? So, this is why you don't have to care in the slightest bit about clothing, but it's affecting you. And this is why In the Image Clothing Company is still valid to you, even if you don't care about us at all. And this is why I say don't believe me, because it doesn't really matter what I say unless it's true. And I don't get to decide truth. You don't get to decide truth. God is, and always, the same yesterday, today, and forever. There's another fourth of In the Image Clothing Company, In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. We're all human beings, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. It is what it is, even if you don't believe in anything, okay? And that actually benefits you. Okay, if you don't believe in anything, stuff's got to still be there, okay? You take all your beliefs away, and what's left is truth. And it's always been there, and it's the only thing that actually is, because your beliefs can come and go, but truth can't. The truth is you can have beliefs. Oh, wow. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So we're on episode 203 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as of today's date, the 27th of January, 2026. We just have deep insights on life. Sure, it's the gospel of Jesus Christ, but it's not some religious thing. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to believe in anything. I don't personally believe in anything because that's what I just said. If you don't believe in anything, what's actually there is there. You know, there's a lot of people that don't believe in anything, and they still exist. You know, they still were born. Even if they don't believe they came from anywhere, they came from somewhere. They weren't here until they were born. Right? Truth is truth. We don't get to decide, by the way. Okay. Yeah. It's not about me, dude. Couldn't be. Couldn't possibly be about me and matter. Okay. There's a point that we hit sometimes. Okay. That's good to see. So, yeah, don't believe us, but this is the thing, is you can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. And in a modern 2026, and going forth, it's only going to get worse, as it's been prophesied for a very, very, very long time. Many, many thousands of years at least. Okay. Things are just going to continue to get more unnatural. Talk about all the surrounding sounds. I understand. You can hear the words I'm saying if you want to. Okay. Documented under the gift of video. Okay. Permanently. That's really great. I love video. That's one of the big reasons as to why. Okay. Date marked and documented. And Dante is my standard poodle. Good boy, Dante. All right. You have to be able to be as close as you can to being ambidextrous. It's like what I say as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company is the point of me. Okay. Yeah. In this. Yeah. Right. Doesn't matter what I say, really, but you have to, and I have to, we all have to get as close as we can to the universal human design in our own individualistic situations. So things like an amputation, well, you have to be balanced over Earth's center of gravity. So something like a prosthetic limb can balance you out physically, okay? When it comes to like a deformity, there's things like plastic surgery or whatever you can do, you know, like cleft palates in the mouth, for example, right? You have to be able to eat and breathe and stand and walk if you can, and to the degree that we can have that be able to happen for you and I, personally. Okay, that's the point. That's the point of In the Image Clothing Company, by the way. It's not clothing. The only reason it's a clothing company is to allow the human body to work, okay? In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah, okay. That's really what we do. We get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue. Because if we are wearing imbalances in clothing, okay, which doesn't allow us to be ambidextrous. Here's a truck. I think it was a truck. It's a truck. Watch this. Listen to this. Hear me if you would. You want to hear something that'll change your life? Cool. You're watching the right video. I mean it. It's not about us. It couldn't be, because we're just discussing things that we didn't decide. But it's about the truth, which is God. God is the truth. Jesus Christ. Another name for Jesus Christ is the truth. He's God. Jesus Christ is God is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Okay. You can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. But what does happen in imbalanced clothing of any kind of imbalance in clothing, oversized clothing, that in itself is an imbalance, especially living in this right-handed world. 85%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed. Our bodies get into a right-handed patterning, okay? And there's a center line to them. So you don't have to care to be ambidextrous. You don't have to care about In the Image Clothing Company. You don't have to care to try to want to be centered, or to want to try to be centered. You don't have to try to care to want to be centered. You don't even have to try at all. It would just happen, really, if we didn't alter our bodies. But that's what does happen. Ropes as well, right? Just anything tied one side over the other. Shoelaces and drawstrings, they're just ropes. But even things tied anywhere on the body at all, you're going to twist your body. You take a neutral and you tie a rope with one side over the other, over that neutral, and it just doesn't stay neutral, okay? It just doesn't. So we need to stay neutral, natural, and normal. These are synonyms within the human body's functioning, the functioning of the dogs, just, you know, mechanics. Neutral, natural, and normal. How would something normally work? Well, naturally. Free flowing, if you will, okay? And, yeah. That's in its neutral positions, because then it has both sides of its functioning. So, yeah. Those three things are the big point, right? Oversized clothing, imbalances of any kind in clothing, and ropes introduced to the body. Okay, and that happens in a lot of ways. Apron knots, scarves, ribbons around dresses, anything around like a hood of a top that you can cinch a rope tightly to keep the wind out of your hood. You know, this is what I mean, is anything placed onto the body is clothing the body. The way that God clothes the fields with grass, clothing, okay? This is what In the Image Clothing Company is. That's what clothing means in our company's name, okay? And if you're not ambidextrous, you're imbalanced, right? Ambidextrous, that means I can reach evenly forward from the center line of my body with my right arm as I can with my left arm, because those are just two sides from the center line of my body meshing over Earth's center of gravity that I don't have a say over as long as I'm on this planet that God made, okay? And so we have to be able to do this. We have to be able to be even. We have to. Otherwise, our bodies build up chronic patterning, okay? That's what I'm saying, right? That's what we really do here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, specifically as one of our fourths. We get out of chronic patterning. Scar tissue gets built up in the body, right? When musculature should be able to be nice and pliable, and its insertions to bones at the tendons should just be a nice, solid insertion, these things end up becoming not so normal. We call it scar tissue. Okay, bone spurs in the body. The bones are being pulled on in positions that aren't normal. Okay, yeah, shoot. And the bones grow excessively large in an unnatural way. Okay, bones are only shaped the way that they are. They're only what they are. They're only what they are, and they're only what they are. It's only what it is, man. It's truth. You can't decide it. I can't decide it. We can learn the anatomy of the human body, though, and it applies to every body who has one, or everyone who has a body. And same with clothing. We can learn how clothing has to sit on our bodies because gravity affects our clothing as much as it affects our bodies, and it's the only thing physically placed on us. And it applies to everybody who has one, or everyone who has a body. That's what I mean. Nobody is excluded. No what? No who? No body, physicality-wise. Okay, the bones and the skeletal system, the musculature also, the tendons and the ligaments, the organs. You know, we talk about a lot of things. It's not just the physical functioning of the human being, but that's what you got to be able to do. The human body is a physically functioning thing, you know. So everything you do, even sleeping, you're still breathing, you know. You're still digesting food while you're asleep, okay? There's still only one position the body connects in, or just doesn't, okay? This is what I mean. You don't have to care to be ambidextrous. You don't have to care to try to be centered. You don't have to try to care to be centered. You don't even have to care to want to try to be centered, you know? You don't even have to want to care to try to be centered. You don't even have to think that it matters at all. But you have to do all you can to be as centered as you can because of Earth's gravity. And just because of the way your body works. And I know how your body works just because I know how my body works. And they're all the same. Very slightly different in ways. But you can only be different from something. There is a universal human design. Okay? And it's got to be centered. So that's where this video's title comes in, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. You can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. And you don't have to want to be ambidextrous, and you don't have to want to be balanced or centered. But if you want to walk or stand, if you want to just be able to breathe, even laying down in your bed, without pain and tension throughout your body that's not needed, okay? Avoidable, not that we're avoiding things, right? But meaning if we can help it and not have to deal with problems that are caused by things that we can do something about, let's do something about it. But you just probably wouldn't think to know. You probably wouldn't even know to think about clothing. I didn't until I was about 24 years old. I mean, I was wearing oversized clothing. I was wearing heels on shoes. I had imbalanced shoe lacing techniques. I was tying my shoes unevenly. I was tying one side over the other with a drawstring around my waist. I had tags in my clothing. I had rotated seams in clothing. I had collar seams in clothing. I had all sorts of things going on like this that people are dealing with that were extremely damaging to my body. And that's why I say it as I do. You know, you can watch my bodies, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? My body's visual and physical transformation, only back to the human body's only normal, under and through the gift of video, under In the Image Clothing Company's content, okay? Context over content is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We've got a lot of context here on what's really going on, and it's truth. You don't have to believe it. Please don't. That'll help you understand that there's universal truth to life as well. You know, if you don't believe in anything and somehow things are still there, yeah, that's how it works, okay? That's how it works. How the human body works is centered, okay? And my body has changed so much because now I know what it means to allow the body to work. That's why I founded In the Image Clothing Company, because my body was not working very well at all. Not at all. And once I realized the effect that the only thing that I was placing on my body, clothing, okay, was having on my body, and I really took a deep dive into what it actually means to have clothing not alter your body, you're just wearing it all day. You're holding it off the ground all day. Okay, look at this. Right? I mean, we know this if we know this, but you might not even think about it. Okay? There's a lot of things in modern day that are just different. Rotated seams. In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification. Anytime you've got rotations and seams of your clothing, well, there's a center line to your body. And what happens nowadays is, well, that doesn't mesh, first of all, just to be clear on why I said it like that. Okay, a center line to the body, and then clothing placed on it that rotates. Okay, and especially with 85%, give or take, of human beings being right-handed, we do live in a right-handed world. We have to stay centered, okay? You have to be able to be ambidextrous. And imbalanced clothing doesn't allow that to happen when it's placed on you. There's no opinion to have. I mean, you can go have all the workout plans and stretching routines. Stretching is damaging to your body. Don't believe me, but it's the truth. Okay, so don't stretch your body. But you can exercise your body, gain all the muscle mass you want. That'll always just only go away back to your human body's only normal once you stop doing the workouts, by the way. Okay, the only there's just a normal, there's a normal resting heart rate per minute. There's a normal respiratory rate per minute, the amount you breathe. Okay, the amount of times you breathe in a minute. You just measure it by minutes if you do, right? You measure it by whatever you want. There's only a normal. Body temperature, amount of muscle mass the body has, amount of fat content the body carries, the amount of food you can put in your body at once that it can actually do something with. Okay, the amount of water that your body holds. Hydration is the amount of water the body can hold on to, not the amount of water you put into your body. Plain water dehydrates you. Okay? Hydration is the measurement of the electrolytes and minerals' ability to hold on to water in your body. It's not the amount of water you put in your body, okay, by the way. We debunk a lot of myths under In the Image Clothing Company. We allow the body to work, and we know what we're doing. Don't believe us, but we really do. Universal, unchanging information. That's what we call truth, okay, that we don't get to decide. That's why we can say it so bold. It's not about us, okay? It's about Jesus Christ. The first three of our 5-word company name, In the Image Clothing Company, in the image of Jesus Christ. I didn't design my body. I didn't design yours. I didn't design Earth with its center of gravity either, okay? I didn't design physics or mathematics or mechanics, but these things are just what they are, and they'll never change. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work, no opinion to have. Okay, and how it works is centered, meshing with Earth's center of gravity. How it works is ambidextrous, so the body can stay activated as a whole. No compensation can happen in the body and have it continue to work. Everything's got its own individualistic role to play, its own functioning. It's got to all work together, playing its own role, so everything else can play its own role and it can all work together. It's got to work together. It's just got to work together. It's got to work together, Dante. Good boy. I love Dante so much. We'll breed purebred standard poodles under In the Image Clothing Company poodles to show how to properly, you know, not that we're going to do it perfectly. It's, you know, it's just meaning, yeah, we're going to do it as proper as we can, because keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes is what we do. It's not a great approach. It's not an opinion, but this is the point. It's not really that great of an approach to advocate for adopting dogs. You would never need an animal shelter to adopt a dog from if we kept dogs at homes to begin with. And so advocating for proper breeding, for the health of dogs, and how to be a good owner of dogs, these are the things we do under In the Image Clothing Company before we could ever have dogs in shelters to adopt at all, okay? So yeah, there you go, right? It's for the health of dogs and the pocketbooks of their owners, you know, the money. A lot of it's just, you know, complications through improper breeding. Health problems come up with the dogs, and then the dog ends up in a shelter because the owner can't pay for the surgery that probably wouldn't have even needed to be had, or the medication that probably wouldn't have needed to be had if the dog was bred properly to begin with. Okay, there's so many unplanned litters of puppies and cats too, and any animals that, you know, there is. Domesticated animals are domesticated. It's unnatural, and it's not bad if we can do it properly. Okay, see what I mean? You gotta see what I mean, because I'm only saying what I'm saying. If you've got an opinion on it, you're wrong. Because I only said what I said anytime I said anything, okay? Anyway, well, you can have an opinion on what I said, but you can't have an opinion on something as if it's what I said if it's not what I said. Do you see what I mean? You better, or don't listen. Okay, the human body has to be ambidextrous. It has to be centered to the best of what we can. What I was saying with the rotated clothing is there are rotated seams in clothing. We've got robots that stitch our clothing nowadays. It never happened before there were robots. Okay? Doesn't that make sense? Unnatural, modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. So we'll have clothing going down a conveyor belt, okay? Going down an assembly line, in a factory, in a manufacturing plant. Plant? It's a man-made building, okay, probably. They'll stitch the clothing in one direction, and they'll flip the clothing around and stitch it in the same direction. But that's on opposite sides of the body. So now we've got a rotation in the body. Rotated seams damage the body. Okay. Rotated clothing and Earth's gravity is a video here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. We just have to stay centered. If your clothing's rotating you, well, shoot. Darn it. Patterning chronically, meaning life lasting until fixed or addressed. You've got to address that. But you just don't know to if you don't know to. We don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know. I had no idea my clothing was imbalanced until I was like 24 years old, like I was saying, okay? I'm 26 years old now, currently, the 27th of January, 2026, today's date, right? Yeah. I just had no idea, just as most all human beings across the earth don't. Yeah. How damaging clothing was to my body. And your body wouldn't be damaged the way that it's damaged by clothing if you didn't place clothing onto your body. I mean, that's the point. We don't have clothing until we do. It's a man-made thing. And it's great, but it has to work for the human body that's not man-made. It's God-made, you know? We didn't design it. We didn't put it together. It just kind of did its thing. God orchestrates everything. He just does it. Even if you don't believe it, that's fine. How'd you grow then? How's your heart beating without you telling it to then? You know, how are you still breathing when you forgot to remind yourself to? You know what I mean? If you don't know what I mean, it doesn't matter. It's still happening. Truth is truth, even if you don't know it. That's what I'm saying. It's not our opinions, okay? It's not our choices. It's not our decisions. It's things like this, though. Holding leashes naturally, okay? Under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, if you, if you can't hold a leash with your right hand as easy as you can hold it with your left hand, or if you can't hold a leash with your left hand as easy as you can hold it with your right hand, and we love slip leads. I've got a slip lead here, just in case, if you will, right? Advocating for being good owners of dogs. Dante's off his lead, but he's a good dog. Me being a good owner, though, I do have his slip lead right here just in case, okay? If you can't carry things in your right hand as easy as you can carry things in your left hand, there's a center line to your body between the two. You have to be able to do all you can to be as even as you can, left and right, or be ambidextrous, because that's how your body works. That's how your body stands and walks on Earth's gravity's pull. It's centered, meshing with the body's centered line, okay? You can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. This video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company on the 27th of January 2026. This is what I mean, okay? You're not going to be able to do it, okay? We put so much focus on the jaw here under In the Image Clothing Company, and a big point is eating and drinking with the left hand, meaning non-dominant hand. Both hands is the point, okay? It's a video. Here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, eating and drinking with the left hand. Because you're right-handed is a video here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. There's a lot of things that you will be doing just because you're right-handed. A lot of things that I know about you personally without ever knowing you, just because you're right-handed. Patterning in your body gets created, okay, imbalanced. So, yeah. Check this out, okay? What it really means to reach with the right arm. What it really means to lean left. Okay. Lifting the right side of the body. The right foot and the hip. There's some videos here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company about how we're imbalanced to the right. Okay, the body's got rotations, internal rotation and external rotation from the neutral in the forearms, and then we lock the hand out from the shoulder at the elbow. The hand becomes the shoulder, and we've got internal or external rotation from the neutral. In the lower legs, here in my Zero Shoes branded Ridgeway boots, from the neutral pinky toe straight forward, we've got internal rotation and external rotation in that lower leg, two bones, tibia and fibula, like the radius and ulna in the forearm, allowing for rotations. We lock the foot out from the hip at the knee, and then we've got from the neutral pinky toe straight forward, internal rotation and external rotation in the whole leg. The way the hand becomes the shoulder, the foot becomes the hip, okay? And they do the same things as each other. So there's only one way the human body could ever work. No possible opinion, no new information. And it has to be ambidextrous or it doesn't work, okay? So clothing placed on us, if it's not centered, our bodies are gonna be doing the same things that our clothing is doing, okay? we talk about where clothing sits for every body who has one, or everyone who has a body, okay, every human being, it's always going to be the same thing, okay? And when we talk about tops, the top seams of our shoulders sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, because our shoulders only ever work behind our head. It's just where they work mechanically, pivoting on this collarbone or clavicle, meeting the scapula or shoulder blade and the upper arm bone or humerus. Just the positioning of how the shoulders hang with Earth's gravity, neutral, okay? They only work behind the head, okay? No opinion to have. There you go. It's always been the same. It'll always be the same. The thing is, our bodies do what the clothing does. And so I word it like this. This is the case. Shoulders follow shoulder seams. You've got seams of clothing placed on your shoulders with gravity pulling down on your clothing, okay? I can wait. I love it though. It just wouldn't be quite the same without the surrounding noise and cars and planes and animals. There's cows over here in the field, you know, across this road. Construction noise here, right? Birds flying through where they do. Yeah. Shoulders follow shoulder seams. And so with gravity pulling down on our clothing, our shoulders just naturally only ever work behind our head. That's just where they work and connect mechanically. That's just how it functions. There's a lot of videos discussing the shoulders here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. Okay. If I reference some, I do. If not, you go find them if you can, right? Look up In the Image Clothing Company. Everything comes to our 5-word company name, all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company. So it's nice and streamlined and easy to get to. We spiderweb things, meaning what I'm doing here. We reference things we've done in other things we do, so you can get to things and just know what we are and who we are and how to figure out what we do, okay? And one of the things we do is in-person events. Poodle parade events are one of the events we do. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah, okay? If we do them anywhere else, then we do, but our focus under In the Image Clothing Company location-wise is the state of Utah. We'll get people into nature and dogs into nature. Do not come for us as far as In the Image Clothing Company's team. Come for the event, the reason we're doing it, for you to have a good time, your dog to have a good time, and yeah, we'll do things for the environment, okay? Clean the creek or rid the rubbish, specific subcategory poodle parade events and similar things like this to actually pick up trash for the planet, okay? For the health of our planet. For the planet is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Now here's the thing. The shoulders follow the shoulder seams. Gravity pulling down on our clothing, it's got to just pull our clothing down in the position our bodies would just sit naturally, like this. Earth's gravity is what I mean, okay? Really, that's really what I mean. That really is, okay? Yeah, that's really the big focus. I mean, we've got so many videos under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. Yeah. There's just so many cars going by, you know? I'm trying to kind of speak between them so I'm not just yelling over them if I don't need to be, but I'm just yelling anyway usually, so shoot. When I'm out here like this is what I mean filming these videos. You know, and just wherever I do, I'm just loud, but yeah. It's just funny. It's like, when do I speak? How long should I wait? You can still hear me. It might be kind of hard through the car noise, but it's fine. You know, it is what it is. It's just a date marked documentation on information that'll never change when we're just speaking truth, okay? That's what we do. Ideally, it's our focus, it's our goal. There's a lot of cars though, brother. There's a lot of cars going past me from behind here, yeah? Dante's just sleeping through it all. He doesn't really care. He doesn't care at all. Dante's awesome, man. Dante's a rescue, okay? From the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. Okay. So here's the thing. Our clothing needs to sit on our bodies evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, with the top seams of our tops, okay, that sit up on our shoulders, because then our shoulders can evenly sit neutral with Earth's gravity. If you've got things like rotated seams in clothing, your body's not going to be centered, because your clothing that's placed on it isn't centered, okay? And then you can't be ambidextrous. Even if you don't care to be, you just need to be able to operate physically as a human being, okay? So, shoulder seams, if they're not sitting evenly behind the peak of your shoulders, you're not going to be able to use both arms evenly. It's just not going to possibly happen. It's not. You can try to train it all you want. It's impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything, though. That's why you keep trying to train it all you want. You'll never get enough of what's not for you, okay? Your body just works or it doesn't. You're not going to get it to. You can allow it to. Okay, seen with context, that's what we do. We give a lot of context. Yeah. Okay, under In the Image Clothing Company, because we've got rotated seams in clothing. In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam just won't allow your top seams of your shoulders. Okay, it's not our dreaded collar seam. It's our modification on a collar seam that we call dreaded. Your body dreads having anything imbalanced on it. The body's balanced because Earth's gravity's pull is balanced, okay? And you can't be ambidextrous if your clothing's imbalanced. There you go. I mean, that's the point of this video. Under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company on the 27th of January 2026. You just don't have to care about clothing at all. But you probably care about breathing and eating and getting some good sleep at night, okay? And you'll never eat with your left hand if you're right-handed. If your clothing's just falling off to your right side in a right-handed world, you just can't get your body's weight off to the left side to eat if the clothing placed on you is heavier on your right side. If it's pulling more on your musculature to the right side, you know, you can't be ambidextrous. And then now if you don't eat with your left hand as well as your right, you will have imbalanced teeth. This truck is flying down this dirt road. I don't know if they'll slow down when they pass us or not, but it's probably gonna be relatively dusty, but they're just going quick, man. But your teeth just wear down when you eat. Dust. Not when you eat dust. Well, yeah, they would if you're chewing on the dust, okay? It's a natural thing, though. I say it like this, no, even though rocks are as hard as they are, if you just take two rocks and grind something between them, the rocks will wear down, right? Our teeth wear down, and they wear into a patterning if our bodies aren't centered, okay? The jaw stabilizes the entire body. It's noisy here. You know, it is what it is. And your teeth will be wearing imbalanced is the point if the clothing you place on your body is imbalanced, okay? So now you'll eat with only one side of your body, and you won't be ambidextrously eating. You won't even be able to, even if you know you should try to keep your body balanced or not, even if whatever, you won't even be able to do it physically with imbalanced clothing placed on your body. You just can't even get your arm to your own mouth unless you get the rest of your body to accommodate to be able to do so. And if clothing's just imbalanced on you, it's in your way, you know? Helicopter. Hi, Dante. Good. good. You can stay there. You can get up too, that's fine. Oh, the mobility in him. Oh my gosh. Letting dogs stay natural. I say it as I say for myself, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. You can also look at our poodles and see their physical workings to see the truth of what we really do here when it comes to letting dogs stay natural, right? Yeah, I mean it. I mean it. I know what I'm doing here with this. I really do. Don't believe me. Truth is truth, though. The truth is, you'll have an imbalanced jaw, okay? And you just won't even be able to eat with both sides, and then that'll create a more imbalanced jaw, but it starts from clothing being imbalanced placed on you. You know, you hear people talking about where you do, okay, if you do, they have like a power leg, a leg that's stronger than the other one. They're like, all right, if I'm gonna do this thing, I'll use my strong leg. That's not good, okay? And not that we're labeling something as not good or bad, but for the sake of the body physically functioning, which that's what the body is it's a physical thing, it's a mechanical machine. You should never have a power leg. That means you're comparing it to the other leg that's not as powerful. There's a center line to your body. You have to be, if your body is going to operate how it's designed to, as ambidextrous or as even on both sides of your body as you can be, okay? And so this is the thing. People say they have a power leg. People say, all right, if I'm gonna jump off something, I'm gonna use, you know, and then whatever leg it is. It's usually their left leg, actually, because in a right-handed patterning, that's just how it would be, okay? You need to really internally rotate to jump. It's hard for people to internally rotate the right side of their body if they're right-handed. And, you know, we're all in this right-handed world, but if you're in a right-handed patterning, you're more externally rotated on the right side of your body. So, you should never have a power leg, okay? If you're going to like do an arm wrestle, and maybe you don't do this, but just to think about it. You know, if you have one side of your body is the point, no matter what you're doing, that's more able to do something than the other side, much stronger than the other side, more limber than the other side, able to reach better than the other side, whatever it is, you're bending down to tie your shoe, and it's harder for you to get down to tie one side than the other. Or you're just getting down to the ground and you're squatting down with one leg in front. If you can't do it evenly on both sides, you've got an imbalance and you're not ambidextrous. You don't have to care, but there's only one way the human body could ever work. Hi, buddy. Okay. Good boy. You are so good. Yay, Dante. Good. Good. Oh, shoot. I love you, Dante. I know, it's okay. Oh, good. Oh, he's so good. Ooh, good dog. Yay, Dante. All right. I'm just waiting out the helicopter noise, right? That's what I'm doing. You're so good. Oh, yes. You are so pretty. Good dog. All right. It's noisy. I get it. I get it, by the way. If you don't think that I get it or don't know that I get it, I get it. I watch these videos back before I post them publicly. Okay, I get it. But this is what I'm saying. You need to be able to bend down with one leg in front as easily as the other leg in front. And really, we need to be able to just squat evenly, okay? Oh, I kind of sat on Dante's head a little bit. That's fine. Sorry, buddy. But, yeah, I mean, that's really what it means to be centered. But if you are going to be doing something on one side or the other, you have to be able to do it as evenly as you can on both sides. Just because there's a center line to your body, meshing with Earth's center of gravity. And this is the whole point of In the Image Clothing Company, is being ambidextrous. Allowing the body to work physically, mechanically, means being centered. Meshing with Earth's center of gravity. There's a center line to the body. okay? No opinion to have. It's bone, okay? Yeah, that's what I mean. You can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. And it's stuff like this. I mean, just tying your own shoes, you know? One of your shoes comes untied and you need to bend down to tie it. If it's harder for you to get down to one side than it is to the other, then there you go. You've got an imbalance in your body, you know? Stuff like that. Yeah, you know, it's just simple things. Yeah, it's just simple things. Here's an airplane again. There's a flight school just a few miles from here, okay? A lot of these small little planes and helicopters come by a lot, okay? But anyway, there you go. The cars driving by probably have all sorts of opinions on what I'm doing out here in this field. You know what I mean? Just flailing my arms around like this. I get it. Okay. The plane's kind of looping. Oh, it is looping. It went this way and it turned and now it's going that way. Okay. Oh my gosh. I actually kind of felt like I was gonna fall over right then. Okay. Let's talk about clothing a little bit deeper than just saying, yeah, if your clothing's imbalanced, your body will be. Being ambidextrous means having your body balanced. And it really is a must because of Earth's center of gravity and your body's center line, okay? But there's more that we can say in this video. I mean, there's so much we can say. We have many, many hundreds, right around 415 415 videos on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company alone as of today's date, the 27th of January 2026. And we've got 4 sides to In The Image Clothing Company. We've got a lot of videos, okay? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, okay? A little over 1,000 videos as far as I know. As of today's date, they're all intentional and purposeful. That's why I'm saying the number is not about the quantity, but it's about the quality that's in all the quantity of videos we have. If you can see what we're really doing here, that's why I say it like that, is so you can see what we're really doing here, okay? Because we talk about clothing, we give so many free modifications in clothing, and we just give so much information on clothing and the body. You know, we talk about where clothing sits baseline, like this simplistic explanation, but there's a lot of things that need to be really intentional in clothing to allow the body to work. But there's some really big points, some really big things to see for the sake of showing what it means to be ambidextrous, okay? And how that won't be able to happen, or let's word it like this video's title under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. On today's date, the 27th of January, 2026, you can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. A lot of the big things are shoelaces and drawstrings. In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, it's one of our 2 prerequisites, in addition to baseline where clothing sits, okay, under In The Image Clothing Company, to not alter the body. It's no opinion, it's just a weave of a rope. You're weaving ropes across the top of your feet. There's only one way the top of the feet are shaped. The top of their feet, and mine as well, whoever's we could be discussing, the top of the feet is half of their function, lifting the toes or dorsiflexion. The neutral is the surface of the earth, or the term zero drop in any brand of shoe, okay? Then you can point the toes, that's plantar flexion, but that's just the sole of the shoe. So we have to be intentional about the top of the shoe because that's half of its function, okay? In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, it's not our opinion on what we think you should do with your shoelaces. It's, hey, you've got ropes tying man-made things on your foot, we call a shoe. They're going through holes we call eyelets, and we call these ropes shoelaces. There's only one way the top of your feet is shaped, R-shaped. The feet grip arches inward. They oppose the center line of the human body and they keep us vertical on Earth's gravity. There's bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles in the feet that only are shaped the way that they are and only do what they do. Muscles only pull in line. The bones are only connected to each other directly through ligaments. You know, there's just cartilage between the bones that is cushioning we can't wear out in the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique. So that's one of the biggest things, right? If you have imbalances in your shoelaces, in the tying of your shoes, or the lacing of your shoes, you're not going to be able to be ambidextrous. It'll be impossible. Mechanically, physically impossible to be ambidextrous, okay? Within imbalances in ropes tied on your feet or around your ankles, okay? There you go. There's one big point that's pretty obvious once you see it. And I say that phrase where I do, right? It's as obvious as it is once you see it. How loud is it really, man, you know? Pretty loud. I'm the one here right now. Yeah. But if you've got ears to hear, you'll get the information if you want it. It's here. It's here. It's been documented. It's here. Subtitles, okay? Technology. There you go. If you need to, sure. That's what I'm saying, is the information is here. Okay. And it's on today's date. That's one of the big points. It's just the date marks, you know, showing congruency. We've been saying the same things since whenever you can see that we said them, because we documented it under the gift of video, okay? The 27th of January, 2026 is today's date. So yeah, drawstrings, right? Dante and I filmed a video titled Right-Handed Knots versus Left-Handed Knots. Here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company is where it was then placed, okay? Right-handed knots on the left side of the body and left-handed knots on the right side of the body keep us centered, like in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. But drawstrings, we show the slipped lap knot, L-A-P-P. It's just a knot that we show to use. Tie the tail end toward the center, and then you've got an even waistband, okay? With a rope tied around your body to hold your pants on. Yeah, okay? Because if you don't have an even waistband, you've got imbalanced clothing, and you can't be ambidextrous. You know, just a knot around your waist, twisting your whole body, you're not going to be able to do things centered, and then you get into chronic patterning, scar tissue, bone spurs build up in your body, damage permanently until fixed or addressed. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work, and it's centered, ambidextrous, which won't happen in imbalanced clothing. Okay, and it's, you know, we say these things often, but deeper context, deeper understandings, right? And that's what I say. If you've got a problem with us in the Image Clothing Company, stick around. Deeper context brings deeper understandings, and boy, do we have deep context, and only to deepen as time progresses. We're only 16 months into the founding of In The Image Clothing Company as of today's date, the 27th of January, 2026, and I am in this for life, to lead it, okay? Me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. So that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of it's just the information kind of just packed in at the very founding, so the rest of it always just can flow well. Okay, the rest of In The Image Clothing Company, as far as time goes, right? Yeah, that's what I mean with that. Okay, that's the point of doing it how we're doing it. Laying a beautiful foundation. Episode 100 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast was titled Laying a Foundation. Now we're on episode 203 as of today's date, the 27th of January, 2026. So, yeah, In The Image Clothing Company podcast, man, it's an amazing place to check out if you'd like to, okay? Yeah, it's awesome. Such a gift. It keeps us centered. It keeps us focused on the gospel of Jesus Christ, because that's the point of the podcast, is to have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, okay? The point of In The Image Clothing Company is we're designed in the image of Jesus Christ, and we allow our bodies to work, okay? So, shoelaces and drawstrings, rotated seams in clothing, seams and collars around our neck, tags in clothing, something that only exists as of tens of years ago from today's date back. And there's always a seam and a collar if and where there is, but in our modern designs that are universally shipped across the entire planet, okay, clothing designs are being worn by human beings on the other side of the earth from you in modern day in ways that could have never happened in the past. Through technology is how that happens. And yeah, there you go, right? collar seams, rotated seams, tags and clothing. Just tens of years ago, they started to put them in from today's date, the 27th of January, 2026, because of the unnatural materials is a big reason. You know, you had to warn people that they're placing poison on their body that's seeping into their skin. Okay, the epidermis is an organ. It's the skin of the body. There's a video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, Dante and I filmed, titled the Epidermis. It's titled The Epidermis. That's what it's titled. Okay. I'm just yelling over the noise out here. It's fine. It really is. But it's cold, which is okay, but not ideal. That's why we're moving to St. George, Utah, okay? One of the reasons. One of the big reasons, though. I love the heat. I love the warmth. I love the desert. St. George, Utah. There you go. Okay. It's warmer than it is here all year round. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, almost always at least, yeah. So, tags, okay? Imbalanced. Where are tags placed? Well, where they are, but if they're going to be placed on one side of clothing only, they're almost always placed on the left side of clothing. We live in a right-handed world, but ironically that actually plays into a right-handed patterning, okay? Having tags on the left side of our clothing. So this video's title, right? You can't be ambidextrous within imbalanced clothing. Well, it's just in imbalanced clothing, the title, right? But yeah, you can't, okay? So tags and clothing, that's an imbalance. There's just something physically in your way, and you're just imbalanced at that point, okay? Yeah, dude, I mean, it's the same things that we have been saying since the very founding. It's the same things we will always be saying, but as I say as well, right? It truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. Clothing, it's no claim, no opinion. I'd say the same thing if I didn't have a clothing company. Clothing's the only thing physically placed on us. Our bodies are a physical thing. And so we say the same things often, but because you just need to know what you need to know, and we've got a whole planet of human beings who need to know what they need to know if they're going to allow their bodies to work, you know? So the more times we say it, the deeper our information gets, the deeper our explanations get, and the deeper your understandings can become from our understandings deepening and then us explaining it deeper, you know, then there you go. So it'll always be the same, no matter how clothing designs change. Okay? No matter what materials get invented that clothing gets made out of. No matter whatever, man. The point is, how does the human body work? If we're ever going to place anything on it that we're going to clothe it with, how does that stuff have to work? Okay, that's the point. It'll never change. The human body won't ever change. The focus is the human body's functioning. Okay, so yeah. Anything though, I mean, we've got side seams, you know, we've got In The Image Clothing Company's pant zipper modification. If you've got pant zippers that are imbalanced, it'll make the side seams of your pants imbalanced, and then your legs won't be balanced. Your feet can't evenly grip arches opposing the center line of your body. You can't stay vertical, you can't stand. There's a center line to Earth's gravity that you have to stay vertical in to stand. Okay, do you see what I mean? There's no opinion to this stuff at all. Okay, even just button-ups where it's not sitting in the center, your body's rotated, you'll never be ambidextrous, just meaning you'll never be centered in imbalanced clothing. It's just not gonna happen, okay? So it doesn't matter what it is, where it is on clothing at all. Side seams just need to be at the sides of the body, okay? Things in the center need to be in the center of the body, okay? Seams have to sit where the seams of the body are, or joints have to sit where the joints of the body are, or the body just doesn't work, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work: centered over Earth's center of gravity, or ambidextrous, meaning able to use both sides of the body evenly, because there's two sides to the body, and you can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. There's no opinion, there's no other way around it. You can train both sides of your body to try to be equal all you want. If you're in imbalanced clothing, you're wasting your time and effort and energy. You're wasting food to fuel your body to do things that aren't helping it. Do you see what I mean? You need to, for your sake. It applies to you. You don't have to care to care. It's the truth. Okay. There you go. All right, let's wrap it up. Let's talk about where clothing sits. Let's talk really loud. Because it's loud out here, okay? Sleeping through it as he does, little Dante dog. Such a good dog, man. Yeah. Such a good dog. Okay. For everybody, it doesn't matter who you are. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You're just a human being. Your clothing's got to sit in the same location to not alter your body. We talked about In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique as one of our 2 prerequisites to not alter the body, okay? Secondly, though, removing all tags from clothing. We talked about tags. Yeah, they're either causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. And the muscles either activate or they don't. If all the musculature of the body just deactivated, you just fall on the ground, limp, lifeless and motionless, okay? The body either works or it doesn't. There's only one way the human body could ever work, okay? So you gotta know where your clothing has to sit or else your body won't work, okay? Because you can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. So when we discuss where clothing sits, that means balanced clothing, okay? And you can purchase In The Image Clothing Company clothing from InTheImageClothingCompany.com. It'll stay centered, fit correct, and be made from 100% natural materials in all the ways we can have it be. It'll allow your body to work is the point. That's the point of us having clothing, is to allow the body to work. But you can use our information of our free modifications we give under In The Image Clothing Company in clothing you already have or other people's designs of clothing. Okay. We're just here to change lives, not to sell products. We're also here to sell products, but that's not the focus. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? I've asked that many times in this video because that's the point of me saying stuff here is for you to see what I mean when I'm saying the things I'm saying here. Okay? That's why I'm saying it here. Under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. But yeah, tops, I talked about the top seams of our shoulders evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Okay? The edge seams of our tops, we need to have those edge seams be as close as we can get to the edges of our shoulders. That's where it's really easily seen when I word it like I did in this video already a couple times, right? Joints of material as well as joints of body parts need to be as close as we can to the same location. It's easy to see with the edge seams of the tops, okay? Because there's an edge to the shoulder, and we need it to mesh as close as we can possibly have it be for the sake of the functionality of the human being, okay? Pants sit above our hips at our natural waist. Like I mentioned, keeping elbows at the natural waist. It's above those hip bones, but below those lowest ribs. That's where we bend side to side at the spine, so it's where our pants sit. It's where our elbows naturally sit, so they have a place to dwell, okay? Slightly higher in the front than the rear, just because with the body having its opposing bends, the ankles bending backward, the knees bending forward, the hips bending backward, the low back bending forward, the mid back bending backward, and the upper back, which is really the neck, bending forward. It's impossible to train posture because we just have to stay vertical on Earth's gravity's pole. It's just straight vertical. And our bodies just have opposing bends that just need to mathematically oppose each other to function, or else it doesn't, okay? And there's no way to possibly train that. It couldn't happen, okay? And it's no new information. It's always been the exact same, okay? I couldn't take credit for some breakthrough. It's just the truth. Yeah. But you need to start with your feet flat on the ground or zero drop the term in shoes, okay? And you need to have your body all working properly. It's just not going to happen in imbalanced clothing. That's what I'm saying in this video. That's what we do under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, though, with allowing the body to work. With our hips already bending backward as just the way that they bend, we need to not play into that, into a deeper bend. We need to stay vertical on Earth's gravity. And so the pants sit just slightly higher in the front than the rear, and it's just very slightly higher in the front than the rear, just so we can do what we can do, there you go, to ensure that they don't fall lower in the front, just going in the same bend that they already have, the hips, okay? There you go. Baseline, that's where clothing sits. We get into it in depth. We talk about a lot of things, but there you go. In the Image Clothing Company, music is another fourth of In the Image Clothing Company. We do a lot of rhythm and poetry, spoken word, lyricism, singing, guitar playing, music geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages. Okay? We have series that we do. It's really a good time there. We show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter things like the neutral wrist, straight out from that pinky finger from the outside of the forearm, okay? And the rounding in our hands. The rounding in our hands correlates with the arches in our feet. The arches in our feet can't be there if the arches in our hands aren't there, and vice versa. The arches in our hands can't be there if our feet are altered by shoes, shoelaces, pant cuffs on top of our shoes. Well, yeah, but really that's just because it would be on top of our foot, because our shoe would be on our foot, right? If it were to be. So there you go. You know, music. And we do too. We do a lot with music. So check us out, man. Hang out. We do a lot for the environment. In the Image Clothing Company, we are a clothing company, but we're kind of not. But we're certainly a clothing company. You know, it's about the human body's function. It's about the environment of our planet. It's about the poodles and a lot of animals across the earth too, with our information that we give on letting dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. It's about just giving credible information about how the human body works and its anatomy. We will always have good products to sell, okay, for the sake of the reasons we'd sell them, right, and them being beneficial for you to purchase if you decide to. Yeah, the state of Utah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, nature, okay, in-person events, a lot of beautiful things like this. This is what we do, okay, a lot of it. So there you go. Just know, yeah, you'll never be able to be centered within imbalanced clothing. I mean, that's the point. We discuss it, we say it. That's what we've been saying since the founding. That's why we are In the Image Clothing Company, really. But context too on just being able to be ambidextrous. You need to in every way you can in life. Anything you're doing fairly often that maybe you'd basically always just go to with only one side of your body, you have to do it with the other side as well. Otherwise you're just going to cause patterning and imbalances in your body. But then this is the point. We naturally go to things with our right hand, not only because we live in a right-handed world externally apart from ourselves, like things just being designed to be used with the right hand more than the left, because if it's a one-hand usage, it's just a universal thing. 85% at least, give or take, of the human beings here are right-handed on Earth, okay? But also just what's placed onto us physically gets us into a right-handed patterning. Oversized clothing just falls to our dominant side. If we're using the right side of our bodies more, well, the clothing placed on our bodies is also falling to the right more as our bodies are using their right side. And so there you go. You just get stuck into a patterning, and it's just hard to even try to use the other side of your body, because you not only have to combat Earth's center of gravity when maybe your body itself is in a misalignment, but then you have to combat the clothing. And you know, we talk about tops being like a cage for the shoulders. Our tops just need to lock our shoulders in place at the edges, and if they don't, and they're falling more to one side, it's almost certainly going to be our dominant side or our right side if you're right-handed, okay? Well, your left side if you're left-handed, but you're in a right-handed world, so certain things in clothing, like a collar seam on the upper left side of a top, will put you into a right-handed patterning if you're left-handed even. Rotated seams in clothing will put you into a right-handed patterning even if you're left-handed, if they're right-handed with their rotations, okay? Things like this, even just the zippers of pants, you know, and side seams of pants not sitting evenly on our sides of our hip bones. It's about the bones. There's no opinion to this stuff. Okay, bones don't move. Yeah, Yeah, all right, there's no opinion to what we do here applying to you, even if you don't care. That's fine, you don't have to care, but truth is truth, and we don't get to decide it. Nobody does. God did, and he is the truth, and that's it. That's the point. And that's the point, okay? Is it's not outside of yourself. It's what's physically placed directly on you. It's your clothing, man. You know, people train things, you know, like tightrope walking, or whatever. Balancing on one leg versus the other, throwing things like a ball with one hand or the other, and trying to do it as evenly as they can. It's impossible to overcome something physically placed on you, okay, without it just still being imbalanced, physically placed on you, your clothing. So you can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. It just couldn't possibly happen. I love the word impossible because it can be used correctly and universally. There's things that are truly impossible to do, no matter what you want to believe in. You know, God's above all of us. And there's things like just, defying gravity, just the way that it works. That's impossible, okay, as a human being. Yeah, okay. Being centered as a body of flesh and bone and blood and just this thing that we are, the human being, with something man-made placed onto us, clothing us that's not balanced or imbalanced, okay? You can't be ambidextrous in imbalanced clothing. You just can't, okay? And so I just stand here and yell about it like I'm all worked up because it's the case. And it's just affecting everyone, no matter what. And that's crazy. There's not many things in life that really affect everyone, no matter what. But clothing does. Yeah. Okay. So that's the point. There you go, okay? It's all over the place. It's any place in imbalance that could possibly be there. And just knowing what it means to have clothing be balanced is something you have to know first. And then how to get it to that state. There's where the modifications come in. We give freely under In the Image Clothing Company. So, yeah. There you go. Anyway, the same for the dogs, right? Be very, very intentional with your dogs to keep their clothing centered, or your dogs will just create patterning in their bodies. Okay, cats, horses, mules, any animals we place things onto, though, at all. Man-made things, yeah, it's just gonna damage them. They just can't be centered if what's placed on them isn't. It's just truth, okay? Anyway. Dante's a good boy. But yeah, that's the focus, I say it like this, there's certain things that we can never say too much. You can never overuse the name Jesus Christ, okay? Who is the truth. You can never overuse things like the phrase, there's only one way the human body could ever work, because it's just context. Every time it's been said, every time that it's explained, discussing things that are true and that will always remain to be what they are, you can't overuse that, okay? Truth. And so as many times as we say things that might sound the same under In the Image Clothing Company, it's just another documentation of it. It's another option for it to be available for somebody to hear that will then change their entire life once they know the information. Once you know how clothing needs to sit on your body, your entire life, permanently, undisputedly, universally, will be changed. As long as you do it. As long as you do all you can to have your clothing fit you correct, stay centered, and be made in all the ways you can from 100% natural materials. It's not an opinion. And it's nothing that, it's just nothing about us, man. It's nothing we could ever take credit for. But it's the truth, okay? Clothing has to be centered. It just has to be. So, there you go, okay? Brushing your teeth, eating food, stepping up onto something, okay? Bending down to the ground. Everything you do in life that you could do with one side of your body, You need to do everything you can always to be able to be ambidextrous. But you'll never overcome an imbalance placed on you physically, clothing you at all. It just won't happen. It couldn't, possibly. I mean, we're talking about physically impossible things. Just rotated clothing, it's just twisting your entire body the entire time you have it on you. Okay. And a lot of this is stuff, you know, for people who play sports, you know? That's a point, you know? You'll never be centered in imbalanced clothing. Yeah. Never. It couldn't happen. But that's the point, is there's no reason the body wouldn't work unless there was a reason it couldn't work. There's nothing more direct than your clothing to your body, okay? So, yeah. The body was designed by God to work. Like the animals, they just work. They don't do workouts, they don't do stretching routines. They just work. If an animal doesn't work, it just dies. Most all human beings don't work, as in physically, mechanically operate properly their bodies, but we just live in a different society than animals do. You know, we've got so many man-made things, and we just kind of like limp along through life suffering physically. And it is your clothing. I have no opinion to that. And it's not my choice. It's not because I have a company at all. We have a company because of these reasons. It's on the back end, right? Truth is truth, okay? You got to be able to be ambidextrous. Your clothing has to stay centered. Earth's center of gravity always remains. Yeah. We'll get out of here. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Yeah. You did so good. You're good. It is. It's the 27th of January, 2026. Dante, up. Good. Dante, come. Dante. Dante, come. Good. Yay. Good boy. Good. Okay. All right. Thank you.